My sister cried. Family shares everything. But I had already shared, for 2 years, $7,000 a month, quietly, while they said I lived off them. My name is Beatrix. In my Minnesota lakeside village, winters were lengthy, and everyone knew each other. As a kid, my family seemed normal. My mom was a county hospital nurse at night and my dad taught high school physics. Not affluent, not impoverished. Once, as an only child, I thought everyone loved me. Dad took me fishing every weekend, and Mom groomed my hair before work. We ate ice cream on the porch and listened to cicadas on summer nights. I considered that a warm family. It ended on a frigid January night when I turned 8. I woke up to urgent pounding and flashing lighting in the driveway at night. My Aunt Evelyn entered the house with a pale face and urged me to fetch a coat and other items. Mom was hospitalized, she claimed. After being born 2 months early, my sister needed special care. I was too young to understand. Yet that night altered everything. Lily, a tiny red living thing surrounded by tubes and machinery, lay still in an incubator. I couldn't approach her. We can't risk her getting sick, Mom said, watching the heart monitor. She slowly drew away as I touched her hand, like I was a threat. Everything revolved around Lily after she arrived home. Sanitizer in every room, air purifiers 24/7, and a bleach smell that burned my throat made our house sterile. Mom took me to Grandma's when I coughed or sneezed. It felt good at first. Grandma made delicious apple pie and saved me books. I slowly understood I wasn't welcome at home. They worried I might hurt Lily, their hope. I aced my first 3rd grade math test. I brought it home expecting Mom to place it on the fridge as she did. After reading the paper, she asked Dad if he had tissues for Lily, who looked stuffy. Father nodded and said, "Good job," without a hug or smile. Just finished. I tried everything to get their attention. Sketched images, won first in the school science fair, and told Mom about my great book reading. Every attempt was denied. Lily has a fever. She's asleep. She needs rest. Beatrix, please be quiet. My invisibility was enhanced. I kept to myself since Lily was irritated by my peppermint oil-scented chamber. Therefore, she was denied entrance. In the only place that seemed like mine, I studied art history, antiques, and the imaginary worlds behind every old painting. Rewriting history hurts more than ignoring it. Beatrix has always been strong and independent, Mom told my neighbors when I entered the gifted program. Never heard she understands that Lily needs extra care. My family vanished without warning. I realized expectations weren't for me as my parents praised, hugged, and seemed proud of Lily. I didn't need that stuff, they thought. Mom would say, "Beatrix is the type who takes care of herself," when asked about me. Independence doesn't mean rejecting love. I applied to work at Sugar Pines Bakery in 8th grade. Mrs. Lorraine, the owner, was my first non-family fan. She never asked why a 13-year-old wanted to sweep floors and sell pastries after school. She said, "If you work hard, you deserve a place in the world." I'll never forget when she touched my shoulder. Every day after school I knotted my hair and went to the bakery to wipe tables, wash trays, and take orders. I performed homework quietly at my small corner desk. As long as I didn't startle Lily with hand soap, no one asked where I was or what I was doing when I returned. Lily was special. Except for buying her birthday cake, she never worked, cleaned her textbooks, or visited a bakery. This family sent flowers and a video camera to all Lily's events, from group presentations to church performances. Me? Mom just commented, "That's good," while slicing fruit for vitamin C deficient Lily after my perfect SAT score. My senior year, I applied to 12 colleges. No one knew. I wrote essays secretly during bakery breaks and had Mrs. Lorraine proofread them. She taught me sincere writing. I wrote my recommendation letters, financial aid papers, and FAFSA. I walked silently, yet confidently. My parents weren't expected to pay for college, so I applied for merit, need, and first-generation scholarships. Every application line was my modest protest against being ignored. After working all summer, saving every tip, and saving in a piggy bank, I bought a bus ticket to a scholarship interview in another state. During my normal spring afternoon bakery counter cleanup, I received an email. Northwestern gave me a full scholarship. I stood immersed in the buttery cookie fragrance, eyes burning, smiling uncontrollably. Lorraine hugged me like her grandchild. My first cry was when someone was proud of me. Mom saw the acceptance letter I brought home that night. She looked, and put it on the table. Congrats, but don't tell Lily, she's stressed out lately. I nodded, folded the paper, placed it in my pocket, and went upstairs while Lily laughed about her new dance shoes from the boutique I'd never been in. Following Lily's second-place school art contest triumph weeks later, the family partied. Dad even exhibited her drawing in the living room with a plaque that read, "The family's talent." I looked at the pink cat on a rainbow, then at my great paper, which a college professor praised, now in my desk drawer. Then I knew. I was the silent kid despite my efforts. Even everyday Lily was special. I swore to become someone they couldn't ignore again since I had the key to escape. I loved art history, and was tired of being told what to do. So I majored at Northwestern. When I was taken to her house, Grandma let me browse through boxes of vintage brooches, necklaces and earrings. Art Deco, European dynasties, and antique jewelry symbolic lectures brought back memories. Swan hairpins with delicate lavender stones come to mind. I was breathless when the light hit the jewel, but I wasn't sure if it was worth it. I spent hours admiring the window. Looking at an antique goes beyond interest. My only trustworthy instinct is this one. I interned unpaid for a small Chicago jewelry evaluation organization, mostly with local auction houses, after graduating with honors. My friends walked into large media or finance companies while I wore white gloves, crouched over a magnifying glass, and chronicled every tiny scratch on rings no one cared about. I didn't realize those nameless fragments would change my life. A costume jewelry brooch for a few $dozen was the first big change. For some reason, taking it up stirred me. The modest design had superb craftsmanship, excellent enamel, cleanly etched edges, and a little, virtually worn flaw on the reverse. Researching that mark took all evening. A French artisan who manufactured jewelry for aristocrats in the early 20th century lost his factory during the war. The brooch was rare and authentic. My employers heard my findings in a brief meeting. I talked with passion, not pride. Archival documents, design comparisons, and a university librarian friend helped me access a museum database for original records. The brooch was re-evaluated at $12,000. At the Seattle Antique Showcase auction, it sold for about $40,000. The company email introduced me with, "Beatrix has a sharp eye." Continue working as if nothing occurred while more misjudged pieces fell into my hands. Cloisonné enamel necklaces were mistaken for copies. But this 19th century Russian one was authentic. Another of 30 platinum wedding rings for a Boston family's anniversary. More collections were my responsibility. My supervisor, Margaret, invited me to lunch for the first time. "Beatrix, have you ever thought about going solo?" she asked as she sliced a tart. I chuckled, thinking she was joking. She nodded. "Me? The girl who's worked unpaid for 2 years and survives on instant noodles?" "Exactly. The hungriest people find the rarest meals." I recalled her words. I verified for pawn shops, family-owned antique stores, and other small businesses that couldn't afford big firms. Although my charges were reduced, every aspect was checked. Be careful. Never skip. I unlocked the closet in my shabby fourth-floor home at night, and looked at the notepad my grandma gave me. The first page said, in disorganized handwriting, "It's not the rare item, it's the girl who sees it as treasure." I understood. If I was invisible at home, every object I touched defined me. I am determined never to be underestimated again, just as I never misjudged a hidden jewel. In the fall of my 27th year, I started a business. No one knew. Nobody asked. My family thought I worked a temporary job to break up Lily's long shifts. I rented a modest office on the 3rd floor of an old Milwaukee building above an Italian cafe and next to a closed dentistry practice. A file box supported a wobbly wooden desk, a chair I salvaged from the trash, and a flea market light in the 300-square-foot office. The lamp clicked softly every time I turned it on, as if it doubted my dream. Everything faded silently when I named the company Aum and Iris. A for gold, Iris after the flower my mom planted in our yard before Lily was born. The start was challenging. I helped a local antique merchant identify platinum from plated mix, and an elderly woman authenticate her Great Depression engagement ring. I methodically performed gemstone microscopy and historical provenance tracking for less than huge businesses. I gained respect. One referral doubled. A small regional museum, estate lawyers and collectors asked for help appraising an inherited jewelry set that had never been appraised. My office grew in my second year. Near the Italian cafe, the glass-fronted ground floor store had a sign. My first employee, Maya, a recent geology graduate with acute eyes and patience for small stones, was hired. She learned to study gemstone cutting under filament lamps, spot handcrafting with the naked eye, and most significantly, trust intuition. Growth was faster than expected. By year 5 I had Milwaukee, Minneapolis, and Denver offices. We validated million-dollar auctions, helped clients from both coasts, and specialized in forgotten storage, safe, and attic collections. Over $12 million was my net worth without almost 1 million authentication contracts. I lived in a little suburban house, drove a neutral-toned silver SUV, and used an old phone because I didn't need to display anything. My relatives didn't grasp. Beatrix, the rebellious daughter who declined a good office job, worked with old things, and missed dinner, maybe dusting antiques, was their view of me. I attended Sunday dinners and listened to Mom talk about Lily changing her major for the 4th time, this time to animal behavior psychology, and potentially discovering her passion. Still, her dad advised me to work at the local high school for its great insurance. Still watched Lily flick through Instagram mid-conversation, showing off a new designer bag she claimed was on sale, but it was a limited edition, never discounted. I smiled softly when asked what I was doing. No information was required. My pearl necklace belonged to an Edwardian British noblewoman, and my ruby hairpin was a rare early 20th century design. No one noticed, thinking it was flea market stuff. I didn't correct them. Lily joked over dinner, "Gab definitely has enough jewelry to establish a shop." I grinned, drank orange juice, and answered, "Who knows?" I could have claimed that I was behind some of the region's largest authentication cases, that my company had just signed a contract with the National Museum, that I was invited to write for a major gemology journal, and that Lily's bracelet was false. However, sometimes stillness is the only crown the overlooked can wear without permission. I sent my parents money after my 5th year in business. After Lily switched to her 5th major, interior design, her monthly spending jumped from $3,000 to $5,000 to $7,000. Interior design was the field I wanted but couldn't afford. Mom called me one Saturday evening, softening after a few thanks. "Lily's really finding herself, you know. But tuition at Parsons isn't cheap, and your father's teacher salary can't cover it all." I nodded at my desk while reviewing documentation for a $400,000 antique jewelry appraisal. "Can you assist?" she asked after a pause. I said, "How much per month?" Lily hadn't graduated 6 years, but $7,000. But temporarily. Once Lily graduates, she'll assist the whole family. I never queried why they hadn't advised her to apply for scholarships or part-time jobs. Instead, I opened a company account and set up a $7,000 monthly family support, tuition help transfer. Every time the money went out, I told myself, not because they deserve it, but because I can. Some can't, Jessica Felix. I tried not to hear Mom tell the neighbors, "Beatrix lives so frugally, she basically eats canned soup and rides the bus." Or Lily posted Cabo vacation images with luxury luggage captioned, "I deserve this after a tough semester." Lily half smirked at me while I cut a roast for Sunday dinner. "Ever considered earning an MBA? May aid your antique shop work?" Mom nodded quietly. "She's right. All have master's degrees. Returning to school may improve your work prospects." As I sipped water, I contemplated the design for the new New York gallery I signed last week. I authenticated every piece of jewelry for a $2,500,000 project. After a few beers at her boyfriend's birthday celebration, Lily told her friends, "My sister, no idea why she's still chasing all that dusty old stuff. Pity-filled parents still pay her rent." My former customer, one of her friends, told me what she said, and I chuckled. Not unhappy or furious, but empty. Emptiness at being at the summit and looking down to see your family still at the base of the mountain, unwilling to climb but needing a rope. Like the antiquities I find in junk piles, silence can make anything interesting. Lily captioned her Instagram post with, "Rewarding myself after a rough semester. Hard work pays off. I knew the car cost over $90,000, and no Parsons student could afford it without quiet funding. Mum called me happily that day. "Did you see, honey? Lily's doing so well. She's handling everything on her own now. She's definitely got the ability to succeed." I sat quiet again, but I was impatient. I want to know when people will see me, not their faded shadow. Thanksgiving was not planned that year. Solo escape was my plan. Mom called, sounding more vulnerable than usual. "I haven't been feeling well, Beatrix. No one's really up to cooking this year. Everyone's looking forward to the holiday. You know how it is." I knew. Dinner is forgotten, but everyone would notice if I didn't show up. I said, "I'll take care of it. You get some rest." Yes. I had contacted a Chicago high-end catering firm for my company's auctions. Private collector dinners featured custom-designed meals that were works of beauty from planting to seasoning. My company's secondary card covered everything. No one knew. Nobody asked. Expected to know several cooks. Thanksgiving morning, I arrived early. The caterers arrived an hour later with portable ovens, silver trays, and a talented tablescape designer. Lily whispered to Mom, "Isn't she overdoing it? Looks like she's impressing someone." A quick smile. Impress? I had nobody to impress. I wanted one real meal. Not dry, no mushy potatoes, not salty gravy that needed water between bites. Dinner arrived fast. Almost 20 people. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, distant cousins. Lily, and her new boyfriend, gasped over every dish. I smiled and served wine instead of talking. Mid-meal, I secretly watched a Tokyo auction in my former apartment upstairs. A unique Meiji gemstone set was bid on by my longtime client. I couldn't afford distractions. While Bluetoothing with my helper, I tracked bids using my laptop's authentication application. Then Lily arrived without knocking. "Do you have an iPhone charger?" "My phone's dying," she asked, peering at the graph-filled laptop screen. Her eyes grew and shrank. Her smile was little. "Mind if I borrow this? Let's show everyone just how cool your little antique work is." She brought the laptop to the dining room before I could stand. "Guys, look what Beatrix is doing on Thanksgiving," she exclaimed as I chased her. "Hi." She showed everyone the screen. No one spoke. Open tabs revealed a $12,600,000 bank account, a $400,000 authentication contract, and the latest internal quarterly report, showing over 4 million corporate earnings. Silence. Hear a fork scrape a plate in the silence. Mom broke it first. She shook her head after a little giggle and turkey bite. "Come on now. Beatrix is probably just helping someone with paperwork, right, sweetheart?" Inhaling, I adjusted my sleeves and entered. "No, Mom. I'm the one signing that contract. I am the CEO of Orem and Iris. My company operates 3 offices across 3 states, specializing in antique jewelry and estate asset authentication. Everything you're seeing is real." Dropped spoon. Aunt Evelyn gasped. My father leaned back, forehead sweaty. When Lily grabbed the table edge, her voice cracked. You have that kind of money and didn't say anything? Mom and Dad are in debt for me. I'm still in school," faced my mother. "I've been transferring $7,000 to you every month for over 2 years. You never wondered where it came from?" Her face blanched. Dad turned red. Lily cried. Shivering, she said, "I have a right to know. I'm your sister, family is supposed to share." I looked at her. All of them. Profiteers mocked and denigrated me. I spoke honestly but politely. "Family doesn't mean carrying the people who always look down on you." I left with the laptop closed. Someone shouted duty behind me, but I didn't turn. My heartbeat was all I heard, like an ancient gold watch ticking flawlessly despite dust and time. No one hugged me or said, "Beatrix, we're proud of you." No genuine smile. Mom's voice slammed me after a long quiet. "You've got millions of dollars and you still let your parents struggle. Did you even think about your sister?" Lily cried and shrieked before I could answer. "I deserve to know. I'm your sister. You kept it all a secret, and you just sat there watching us suffer." "Suffering," I giggled. "You call flying business class, wearing a Cartier watch, and buying a BMW suffering?" A silent father hit the table with his hand. "That's enough. No matter what you do, you're still a daughter of this family. Families share. You should be ashamed for keeping this a secret. I examined the table. They lacked familial eyes. They gazed at me like a broken safe. I've sent $7,000 a month to you and Mom for 2 years. Every time you called crying, saying you couldn't manage, I never asked why. I didn't set conditions. I just quietly sent the money. And this is how I'm repaid. Mom replied, "Then why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you tell us you were successful? Was it because you didn't want us to rely on you, or because you wanted to keep it all to yourself?" I spoke while clutching the glass. Because I got used to being ignored. Ever since Lily was born, I stopped being a priority. Every award I won, every exam I aced, it was all forgotten because your sister needs to rest. Faced my mother. Do you remember when I got a perfect SAT score? Or when I got a full scholarship? And Dad, do you remember my graduation? No one came. Everyone was too busy watching Lily's preschool ballet recital. Shaking hands. Mom. Her mouth moved but uttered nothing. And now, the moment you find out I did something none of you ever believed I could do, your first reaction is anger because I didn't share it. That's not it, Lily responded. I'm just shocked. I feel betrayed. You didn't trust me. Softly, I addressed my sister. You've never trusted me. You've always seen me as the shadow behind you. You mocked my work in front of your friends. You told them I lived off Mom and Dad, when I'm the one who paid for every semester you studied, every vacation you bragged about online. Lily froze, eyes wide. She didn't anticipate my competence. Beatrix, I'm not fighting. But you can't hoard that kind of fortune and expect everyone to act like nothing's changed, my mom shakily said. The family needs help. You could start a fund for Lily. She wants to open her own interior design firm. You mean use my money to fund a dream that's never been followed through? Unlocked my purse, took out my phone, pressed a few keys and said, I just canceled the automatic transfers. The room exploded. Mom. Beatrix, you can't do that. Your father and I were counting on that. Lily hasn't even finished her degree. Then it's time to start figuring it out. I've been on my own since I was 17. If I can do it, so can the rest of you. I rose. Chair dropped. No one stopped me, so I turned around again. If the only reason anyone wants to keep me in their life is money, then I'm sorry. But I'm done buying love. And I don't need it anymore. As rumors spread, I departed. Someone suggested a lawyer. Another said, she'll regret this. Only relief came from closing the heavy wooden door. Left Thanksgiving feast. No one saw me go. It was the first time I didn't regret choosing myself. My phone buzzed incessantly in my flat that night, like someone was holding down the call button. Text filled the screen. My mom sent the first. Beatrix, you're making everything worse. We need to talk. Lily's falling apart. Can't you see she's lost all faith? Family is where you come back to. Not what you walk away from. Dad was more measured and cool. I don't know what kind of person you've become, but this is not how you treat family. Lily sent 37. You're ruining everything. You'll regret this. I shut off and placed the phone face down on the table to calm the storm. Next day, aunts, distant relatives and my dad's friend's wife, who used to say, Beatrix is sweet, even if she's not exactly brilliant. Spammed corporate emails. I hired a lawyer. His name was Marcus. I had him handle VIP estate matters. I conveyed messages but he didn't respond. His nod was straightforward. You need a clean break, financially and legally. I'll draft the cease and desist letters today. We officially told everyone on the list to stop pestering, threatening and asking for money. Marcus, please say this in easy language. Love shouldn't be priced. Lily posted a long cryptic note online a week later. Not everyone with money has a heart. Photos of me holding her as a baby, finishing high school, and grinning at her 17th birthday lunch, were included. All the posts were passionate indictments trying to elicit sympathy. Do groups remark. One side called me a soulless ATM. Another inquired why an MBA candidate misused 8-year-old images. I stayed mute. Taking the 15-year-old pearl necklace Grandma Marie gave me from my closet's wooden box. I wore it around my neck like the memory that had sustained me for years. Grandma was my only unblocked relative. When I called to tell her everything, she wasn't surprised. She sighed. You finally did what you should have done a long time ago. I kept silent. She talked slowly, but firmly. Beatrix, family isn't the people who pull you back when you're trying to fly. You've lived in their shadow long enough. It's time you choose your own light. I offered her a few days next week. She brought some bags and handmade butter biscuits. She, who had taught me to tell truth from fiction with instinct, grinned like her whole life had been waiting for that moment, as we searched through a gem collection I'd brought from Switzerland in the living room. I changed all my numbers. Individual addresses were eliminated from the company system. My receptionist was directed to deny family claims without an appointment. I rented a guarded biometric headquarters. Marcus called Monday morning while I drank coffee and read an exhibit concept. I grinned because silence was unbearable. It didn't matter to hesitate. They didn't need to recognize me. Stop asking for permission to be myself. My grandmother observed, a true gem doesn't need to shout to prove its worth. It only needs to not be buried among the rocks. I was at the right spot and couldn't go back. My new home came in early March. Lake Mendota side mid-century cottage in Madison. Unassuming, private. AI-integrated surveillance cameras, a perimeter fence and a jewelry vault were installed. In my new office, I hand-assembled a warm amber desk light, a soft leather chair, and a vintage wood bookcase from a closing bookshop. I remember afternoons reading Nancy Drew in Grandma's attic with this smell. I first lived without shrinking. No need to downplay my success to appease others. No more mommy sneers or sorry stares. Lily no longer comments. That necklace looks like it's from Target. Normative Sunday dinners are over. I filled every vacuum by being myself. Everything made the company stronger, which astonished me. Previous clients contacted Lily after her cryptic social media post. Questions skipped. Some trusted me more since I kept it quiet for years. A famous fashion designer asked me to authenticate his vintage jewels for a New York exhibition. A major European organization asked me to conserve an 18th century jewel. I hired 2 appraisers, opened a Denver office, and teamed with 3 foreign auction houses. My CFO hesitated. We're in a position to acquire a smaller competitor in the South. If you're ready, Beatrix, this could be the time to expand our influence. I smiled. I never sought power. From the outset, I wanted freedom. Early one morning I sat at the second-story window with black tea, watching the lake mist. Grandma donned her favorite sky blue cardigan to water plants. She stayed longer than expected despite my efforts. Do you know what I'm most proud of? She asked me one evening while sorting gemstones in my office. Shaking my head. No hint of wealth or career. Remarked, that you stayed true to your values, even when the price was high. I remembered the phrase for days. I thought all the time I stayed quiet to avoid hurting others. The nights I came home with heavy shoulders, thinking I had to be enough to be noticed. I tried to be useful to be seen for years. Since I'd shown myself, I didn't need others' approval. During inventory inspection for restoration, I uncovered Grandma's pale lavender stone swan hairpin in that antique box. I kept it for years since it started everything, not its value. I placed the card in a blue velvet box with a brief note. You brought light to the unseen girl. My private gallery's first shelf holds that box to remind me my trip wasn't privileged. It began with forgetting. I was invited to speak at a Paris Heritage and Value conference soon after. Just once, I didn't hesitate. I stopped thinking about what others thought or how the stage might shrink my family. I was going under my real name, with the firm I started from scratch, with Grandma's white gold ring, and with the quiet pride of someone who had been ignored, yet never forgot who she was. Beatrix's story teaches that leaving family for truth and independence is brave. Though not everyone gets love, everyone can choose not to live in injustice forever. Beatrix's career took time. She found self-love without her assailant's approval. Correct, real healing. Real freedom. Your thoughts on Beatrix's choice? Was being rough the only way to be herself?